Good morning, folks, and welcome to this week's edition of the Elevenses series, brought to you by the Google Partners team. My name is Huey de Zulueta. I'm an Associate Account Strategist here on the UK agency team. And joining me today is my colleague.
Hi guys, my name is Dylan Cannon. I'm also an Associate Account Strategist working for the UK and Irish market.
So today, folks, we're going to be deep diving into dynamic search ads, the so-called keywordless campaign. And we're going to look into what the best practices are for here, what the top tips are, and what the recent changes have been. Now, if you joined us 2 weeks ago, you would have been here for the first part of our automation series, and that was on smart bidding. Today, in the second part, we're going to be looking at dynamic search ads, DSAs. And then in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be looking at some changes coming to AdWords automation in display. Can't tell you more about that for now, but that's something exciting to look forward to. So as I said, folks, today the focus is DSAs. What are those top tips? And really, there are three things I want to get over to in the course of the next 15 minutes, which have changed. And really, it's around simplicity, control, and performance. There was a recent post on the AdWords blog 2 weeks ago, said DSAs are now more effective than ever. And it went through some of these recent changes. And really that's what's inspired today's episode. So we're going to recap on those and show you what's the sort of best practice moving forward with this groundbreaking campaign. But really, Dylan, keywordless campaigns, where have they come from? What's the necessity?
Perfect. So sorry for coming out of the trap so early with such a big figure, Huey, right? But 16%, right? So imagine this, 16% of all queries across Google are net new, brand new every single day. Now what I mean by that is 750 million queries or search terms typed into Google network, brand new. There could be new content, new product, trending words. It could be a baby name, Huey.
So this has never been seen on Google before. So what you're saying there is, if you're an advertiser, if you're a marketeer, how do you craft a search strategy that accounts for all eventualities?
I suppose that's the question. That's what you touched on 2 weeks ago. Is it manageable? It's a lot to manage.
It is a lot to manage. And when you factor in as well, folks, how many different pages are there on your website? I was looking at a big retailer the other day, and they had 730,000 pages on their website. Now, I'm not sure yours would be as much as that, but it does beg the question, how do you craft a search strategy that accounts for all those new queries and also all the different pages of content? And so really, I guess still, QDSAs, what's the solution?
Let's jump in. So let's just give a quick overview of, I suppose, what exactly are DSAs, Huey. So it's not a taboo subject. It shouldn't be as difficult to understand as people make it out to be, right? It's super simple. All it is we're going to specify an actual part of our website. We're going to give an ad template, that's your content, and we're going to give a bid, okay? Now from this, the Google machine is essentially going to create a specific ad that's dynamically created from your template, from the query that's typed in by the user, and it's going to give out the most relevant page, okay? Again, no keywords, that's the magic word here. So super simple, you've got a lot of different targeting options to, I suppose, hone in, make it relevant and controlled, I suppose make use of all the best of Google's products. And once that happens, it's going to enter the ad auction as usual.
And the picture on the left, what was the point there?
So I suppose, can you pick out what is the dynamic search ad in that?
I'm going to squint, I'm going to look closely. Yeah, I mean, they all look the same, Dill.
That's the main part. I mean, it's how can you tell? That's the beauty of it. So users searching for the query, they're giving back an ad. There's no way for them to tell which is dynamic search ad and which isn't.
And more so now than ever, because one of those recent changes we spoke about is that the DSA now uses the expanded text ad format. So headline 1 and 2 are now 63 characters as per the ETA format. So that's a recent update that wasn't there before as well.
Exactly. And I suppose one thing that agencies are always querying about, and rightly so, is quality score. How does that work, Huey? It works the exact same, right? You've got your ad relevance, you've got your expected click-through rate, your landing page experience. So every single ad, same as DSA, like normal, goes through this real-time quality score bidding platform.
Fantastic. So just break it down for me. What are the actual steps here?
Okay, so when I was helping you create this presentation, I wanted to give a bit of a lifelike example, a bit of an anecdote, Huey. So picture the scene, last weekend, coming up to the Easter break, I was tasked from my girlfriend to, I suppose, find a nice getaway in the sun. She wanted Malta. I wanted the southwest of Ireland, okay, unfortunately.
You economised and
yeah, unfortunately so. So this is what happened, right? So I typed in hotel in Killarney, great location, okay? Now picture the scene. This is what an advertiser can give back to me. It's going to give back Riverside, Hotel Killarney, great Killarney location. So the fantastic thing here, Huey, is it's giving me back my keywords or my queries in the headline, right? It's fantastic. And even a step further, it's going to actually bring me to the landing page I want to, which is essentially the book now. I was in an urgent state. Let's book now.
So it's shortening your path to conversion, essentially.
100%.
Okay, and so I mean, we touched on that. What are the actual benefits? And I mentioned earlier, performance, simplicity, control. And we'll go into the performance aspects in a little bit, but incremental reach, lower CPCs, because you're going after those broader keywords, those longer tail keywords you might not normally be, cheaper CPAs, and better click-through rates, because you have that headline that so closely reflects the user query, you're getting better click-through rates. Again, simple to set up, we'll touch on that a little bit. Reduces human bias. Now,
that's an interesting one.
We wouldn't know it, but who can actually hold up their hands and say, my keyword campaigns, my traditional search campaigns are filled with bias. You think that's what users are searching for, but actually, are we missing out on a load of incremental traffic? And the final point, the control. We can select the specific targeting we want. We can select even the specific URLs, the specific pages. We can have powerful negatives. We can have really strong exclusions as well. So really, it's not about automation giving up control. It's about using machine learning and constantly controlling, optimizing it accordingly. And so on those performance stats, I think, Dylan, this is the most compelling part of dynamic search ads. When compared with like-for-like query performance, so comparing DSAs with broad match and phrase match keywords, what were the end results of a study we performed? Well, 15% more clicks DSA's got, a 30% higher click-through rate. 30% higher click-through rate. And that, again, comes down to that dynamically generated headline. CPCs, 30% lower, and CPAs as well, 35% lower. But the headline stat for me, Dylan, is this one. On average, 86% of DSA traffic is incremental. Traffic that wouldn't have been picked up by your broad and phrase match campaigns. 86%. That's incredible. If I could have £1 for every time a client said to me, give me the same amount of traffic at the same CPA. And what we're doing here is we're saying, look, we can get more incremental traffic and even at a reduced CPA. So this, for me, if you're a performance search advertiser and you're not using DSA, it's definitely one to explore.
100%. Touching back on that, it works, it's controllable, and it's simple.
And I think the most compelling bit of evidence we can show here is that actually some of Google's biggest clients, some of their biggest search advertisers are pivoting their whole strategy towards DSAs. One of my favorite case studies, Virgin Experience Days, used DSAs, and through that they boosted revenue dramatically. 700% increase, return on investment, 34%, and particularly effective when combined with search audiences.
So touching on that, usual best practices apply to dynamic search ads. We've got our extensions, or let's say, is that right?
Yeah, it's a good question. So in terms of best practice with audiences and DSA guys, you're not allowed to do target and bid DSA campaigns with audiences. But what we would fully encourage is to do search audiences as bid only. By recency, basket of banners, customer match, as many audience lists as possible. But we'll touch on some of those other best practice tips in just a second. Firstly, Dylan, what I'd like to take you through is how do we set up a report? And I guess first thing first with that is how do we target?
Let's jump in.
The thing I hear time and time again from people when they're looking to set up a DSA campaign is, what targeting options should I select? How granular should I get? And I guess it comes back to control. You are awash with a lot of different targeting options, but the best practice we'd always advise is auto categories. And how these work are they look at your website and they group the pages by targeting concept. So what we mean by that is, say, Dylan, you sell footwear. It would look at your website and it would look at all the pages where traffic is driven by a certain set of queries. So it would look at all the pages which have traffic driven by the query red shoes, and it would group them together. It would then look at all the pages that have traffic by Wellingtons, by athletic footwear. And so actually, instead of targeting by the framework of your website or by the content, you're targeting by user behavior, by actually how users interact with your website. So it's a lot more intuitive. It's a lot more effective. Now, there are, of course, other targeting options if you feel that's not right for you. There's page title, there's page content, where it looks at that skeleton framework and the actual words and content on those pages. And then, of course, there's URL targeting. If you want uber control, you can select the specific URLs you want to target. And there's another change, which I'll come on to in just a second, that takes this further, and that's DSA page feeds. But just to reiterate there, Dill, best practice, auto categories. And in terms of granularity, start broad. Look at the all web pages category. And then over time, as performance comes in after a couple of weeks, dig into the category report and break out the subcategories performing really well into their own ad groups, give them their own ad template, give them their own bid, and double down on them like that.
Sounds great.
But the one I want to take you through, Dill, which I know you're excited about, the DSA page feeds. This launched, guys, at the end of last month. It was one of the big updates given in the AdWords blog. And how this works is you upload a feed, an Excel file, into your AdWords account, listing a specific set of URLs. And then you group them by custom label, and that allows you in the front end of AdWords to auto-target this. And so how is this different to the URL targeting I spoke about? Well, this is a lot more scalable solution. If you have multiple campaigns and you want this heavy control, instead of specifying the URL each time, you can just use it from the feed and roll it out like that. Maximum control, maximum efficiency.
Yeah, so usually when I see page feeds, Huey, I suppose jump back a bit, take a step back. It sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is. Is that right?
Sure, and you'd be forgiven for thinking this is just for our most sophisticated advertisers, because actually there's a lot of people doing this, and it's so simple to set up. All you need to do, guys, is go to the AdWords Help Center, and there's a template, isn't there, Dylan?
There's an Excel file, right?
What we recommend a good page feed looks like, and it's there step by step to guide you through how to set this up. So again, maximum control, but just to reiterate, auto categories would be my starting point.
Perfect, thanks for that.
So Dylan, take me through though, how do we set up?
Okay, let's jump in nittier and grittier then, Huey. So as we said at the start, super easy, super quick and simple to set up. So what we've got, just to kind of reiterate again once more, you're going to specify the part of your site, you're going to give an ad template and a bid, and then it's dynamically going to generate the headline, and we're going to bring them to the right landing page. Sound good?
Simple.
Perfect. That's what it is. It's super simple. So you go in, you create a normal search campaign as new. What you're going to do is you're going to specify your domain URL, top level domain. So what is that? Say www.example.com. One key point to mention here, Huey, is, so we've touched on, I suppose, retailers with massive product categories and listings. So let's say, for example, you've got a French shop, a UK domain, and a German domain. What you've got to do here is, one thing to be sure to do is have one campaign per language. So you might have a German campaign, a French campaign, and then an English campaign. Other than that, it's quite simple. I mean, we could keep speaking about this, but that's all it is.
Fantastic. And in terms of the actual reporting, what's going on there? Yeah,
so this is where it gets interesting for me. So let's say you've set up your dynamic search ad campaign, you've let it run for, say, the month to 6 weeks. Now, what we're going to do now is jump in and look at two different reporting tools. Okay, so firstly, Huey, search term reporting. Have you come across this before?
Tell me more, Dylan.
All right, let's do it. Super useful. So what this is, it's a one-stop shop for all of your queries that were ever matched with your dynamic search ads, okay? Furthermore, it's going to give you every single auto-generated headline that ever matched with your dynamic search ad campaign, okay? Now, top tip here, Huey, what I like to do is jump in and look at it at a weekly and a monthly trend, okay? So what you might see is a week-on-week trend in certain queries, and a week-on-week trend in certain landing pages that are going to work well, okay? Huey, you've got the same control as you do with, I suppose, normal search campaigns with your negatives. We'll jump in, we might see that certain queries are not working well for us. Let's exclude them. Let's apply negatives to them. Flip of the coin as well, we might see that certain landing pages are not working as well as we'd like. Let's add them as exclusions. Now, how you do that, Huey, is in the auto targets tab, okay?
Fantastic.
So you've got all the control, right? We're going to prioritize high-performing queries and landing pages. Flip of the coin, we're going to, I suppose, remove or exclude those that aren't performing well. Now, second report I'd like to run you through, Huey, is the category reporting tool, okay? Super simple. The last reporting tool was at a query level. This is at a category level, okay? So we're going to see what categories are working well. So you touched on, say, blue shoes, red shoes. There might be other categories that we didn't realize are working well, Huey, and what we're now going to do is add them as a new dynamic ad target. I suppose, what's the benefit there? You can add specific bidding, and we can pair them together. A lot of good nuggets there. Super simple, won't spend too much time. A little caveat that people often miss out on is that you can actually view it at a very granular level. Okay, so you can view it at an overall category reporting level, but you can also go one step further, Huey, and look at it. You've got first level subcategories, second level subcategories. So that might jump down from the product to gender, to the, I suppose, is it new, is it used, and so on. So there's a lot you can do. You can group together teams. So it's a fantastic, I suppose, way of optimizing your existing DSA campaigns.
Terrific. And we're just going to flick through here, folks. A couple of common pushbacks, a couple of common concerns, some of the things we hear. Dill, in a sentence, I don't want to give up control.
So quick sentence, you're not going to give up control. You've got targeting options. We can exclude, we can add negatives. We've headlines and landing pages. You're not going to lose control.
I think we've covered that one pretty succinctly. But what about this one? What type of queries will my DS campaign serve on?
Yeah, again, super simple. I'll give you the quick answer back. So this is not a complicated situation. So what's going to happen is our queries will never trigger on exact match terms. And we're going to jump into that in a little bit later, okay? So it's going to trigger on a match page title, the data, and the on-page content. So they're your targeting options that you're allowing the DSA campaign to serve on.
And on top of your broad or phrase match terms, it will take as well. And again, I guess this question is phrased a little bit differently, but I don't want DSA to compete with my keyword campaigns. Again, as you said, it won't do for your exact match, but it might for your broad and phrase. You can use negatives if you wish, yeah?
100%.
And the final one there, should I use DSA for keyword farming?
So we were having a conversation about this earlier, and to be honest, my absolute answer is no. You can use it for data. It's interesting to look into, but the answer is no. Why would you, Huey, I suppose, take keywords out from a like-for-like campaign that's performing better in terms of your broad range of metrics and give it to a lower performing campaign?
Because it takes you to the right landing page, gives you the right headline, it's going to perform a lot more effectively, as we proved earlier, than those like-for-like queries on search.
Exactly.
And the final one, I guess I touched on this a little bit, so I'll take it away, but ideal auto targets, categories or URL. And look, categories are the ones we'd advise you to go for. Start broad, narrow in, use Dylan's category reporting, and find that sort of optimal performance there. And speaking of optimal performance, it's not a case of just set up, folks, and let it run. There is an ongoing maintenance, an ongoing optimization required. And so here are our 8 or so best tips. I'm going to run you through them. Targeting, we've touched on it already before. Make sure you have audiences applied, bid only, across the board. Ad extensions, make sure those are integrated. You're using at least 4 per campaign. Creative excellence is an absolute necessity here. And the point you made, Dill, negative keywords, make sure those are applied as well. What do you have to say about structure, Dylan?
Usual best practices apply in terms of 3 ad creatives per ad group. It's going to impact your quality score and so on. Touching back on that, don't forget 1 language per campaign, whether it's a French, German, or let's say English campaign. Let's always have an all pages catch-all target to just ensure best volume. We're not going to let anything slip through the net at the start. Fantastic.
And I guess the final point, boys, is what we discussed 2 weeks ago, the smart bidding. The optimum performance is going to be having that in action. And look, it does work with third parties, but make sure you're having a smart bidding tool in place, whether it's target CPA, target ROAS, enhanced CPC, for absolute maximum performance. So folks, thank you very much for joining us. That concludes today's episode on dynamic search ads. My challenge to you would be, in the next 2 weeks, set up, trial, and give it your first shot. And we'll meet back here 2 weeks' time to look at the exciting new developments in AdWords automation display. But for now, thank you very much. See you next time.